Hey, how you doing? Welcome along. In this video, I am excited to share with you the 3 most influential books that I have read probably in the past 6 months or so. They have totally changed the direction of my life, the things that I focus on, had a massive impact, not just personally, but in business as well. If you watch this video all the way to the end, and if you really take note of what I'm going to share about these books, it could well have a massive impact for you. If you're committed to growth, if you're committed to self-improvement, if you're committed to learning more about yourself, but then also growing your business as well, then I truly believe that these things will help you. If you do miss out on these, if you don't watch this video, then chances are you could be missing out on what I personally believe is some of the most valuable knowledge that is out there right now, not just in terms of your personal life and personal growth, but in terms of business as well. So let's do it. Let's dive in. I'm excited to share these 3 books with you. So let me introduce you to the books. The first one is this one. It is called The Almanac of Naval. I'm going to talk to you about that in just a moment. The second one is this. It is still with my pencil in. You can see making notes. It is called The Game of Life by Florence Scovel Shinn. I have to make sure I pronounce that correctly. And then the third one, it wouldn't be suitable and it wouldn't be in any way related to business or a useful business video if I didn't talk about the book $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. So let's do it. Let's dive in. I'm going to talk about $100 Million Offers. I'm going to talk about The Game of Life, and we're going to talk about The Almanac of Naval. Let's dive in. So book number 1, The Almanac of Naval. Probably the easiest thing to share is how I came across this, which I believe, I may be mistaken, I may be wrong, but I think it was through the Tim Ferriss podcast. So I've listened to the Tim Ferriss podcast now probably since I started in online business, and his book, The 4-Hour Workweek, which I refer to in this video up here, or this video up here, I don't even know if I'm pointing in the right direction, but a video that you'll see around the screen, which is about 3 business books that I recommend. His book, The 4-Hour Workweek, was one of the first that I ever read getting started, but his podcast is something that I listen to consistently. And his most popular, or certainly one of his most popular interviews, was with this guy, Naval, who I had never ever heard of. So I was drawn to finding out just a little bit more, hence getting hold of a copy of the book. I personally think that this is the most important book that I've read this year in a overall sense. And by that I mean in terms of wealth, but also in terms of personal life and personal business. And it's easy for me to say that and kind of break it into those 2 categories, because it's exactly how he breaks the book down as well. The first section is very much focused on business and how you can improve in your business and kind of fundamentals and principles around business. And then the second half of the book is around personal life, personal growth, ultimately happiness. So he divides it into wealth in the first half and happiness in the second half as well. And my top 3 takeaways from the book, because I want to share a few different takeaways that I think would be valuable for you. The first one is, the reason that I like this so much is it's something you can dip in and out of. So you could literally open this up at almost any page and just start reading. It doesn't have to be a continual book that you just go through and you read from start to finish all the way through. You feel like you're laboring, that you need to get all the way through for any of it to make sense. You can literally pick it up. The sections are very short, and you can just say, you know what, I'm just going to read 2 or 3 pages, and I guarantee that no matter which elements you pick, which areas you choose, that there will be value for you in those 2 to 3 pages. The second big takeaway that I took from this, and the thing that I absolutely love, is his emphasis on what are called mental models. Now, mental models are originally something that a lot of people, he and Alex Hormozi, who I also follow, attribute back to a guy called Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger is the kind of right-hand man, you could argue the equal to Warren Buffett. Most people know Warren Buffett, not so many people know Charlie Munger, but Charlie Munger's book, Poor Charlie's Almanac, talks a lot about mental models. And it's something that is referred to by Naval in his book, and it's also something that Alex Hormozi talks about as well. And that's something that I absolutely love, is the idea of specific frameworks that you can use in life, personally and in business, to make better decisions. It avoids decision fatigue, it allows you to focus on what you've already learned and what works, and ultimately it's a really valuable tool that you can go ahead and implement as well. The third major takeaway, and I've kind of already summarized this in itself, but The third major thing that I like is it just feels very, very easy to digest. And I mentioned before you could pick it up and you could choose 2 or 3 pages, and even if you just pick anywhere in the book and start reading, that there will be kind of golden nuggets in there for you. But it just feels like a very, very, in some ways, unbiased. Some people might say biased, but I would say almost unbiased way of viewing how you can improve elements of your life. And it's not saying you should do this or you shouldn't do that. There are some parts where he recommends that, but that's based on his personal experience. But it's more focused on, here are ways that you can improve in your health, in your mental growth, in your spirituality, in your business, in your economic situation, and the fundamental things that you need to have in place to be able to do that. I would feel comfortable recommending this book to anybody who is a business owner, anybody who's an entrepreneur, and really just anybody who is curious about improving themselves. Highly recommended. Go and check that book out. All right, book number 2 is this one. It is called The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. I hadn't heard of this book until probably about 3 months or so ago. This came as a recommendation from my mentor. I have a mentor in business, but what tends to happen is we talk a little bit about business, then we talk more about life in general. And he'd recommended this. This actually came from one of his most successful students, who has built a wildly successful business, working online and working just 3 days a week, which I think is absolutely awesome. And she recommended this book to him, and he then passed this book on to me as a recommendation. It's an old book. I've been looking through just before to try and find when actually it was first released, but there'll be information on Google, no doubt, about when it was. But it's a pretty old book in the sense of, at least I would say, about 70, 80, 90 years old in terms of when it was written and when it was released. Let me have a look. Yeah, some point in there. Anyway, but you can tell that it's an old book in the sense of the way it's written and maybe the language that it uses. And of course it is a translation as well. But the fundamental things are that, and this seems to happen again and again in some of these what I would say timeless books, are that the principles and the fundamentals are the same. Now, my first impression of this, I was thinking, is it a little bit woo-woo? Is it a little bit to references to religion and to God as well, which isn't necessarily my bag, but it may be yours. But all I would say is, even if you come across those things, still to keep an open mind about this book. The thing that it's had massive impact for me on are 2, I would say, specific areas, and they're actually chapters within the book. The first of those is chapter number 3 here, and it's called The Power of the Word. And the idea being that the language that we use, many people will say, I know that already, but do they actually do that? But it comes down to the language that we use on a day-to-day basis, the language that we use when we speak to other people, the language that we use when we speak to ourselves, and it has a incredibly powerful impact on our lives. If we tell ourselves we're good at things, if we tell ourselves we can do things, if we tell ourselves we're successful, if we tell our things that opportunities are on their way, then those things will happen. If we tell ourselves how bad our life is, how difficult things are, the challenges that we've got, why is it so hard, why always me, etc., 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 then life will continue to get more and more difficult. But this goes into depth about why the power of the word is so very, very important. And I think it's absolutely mind-blowing. If you read that one chapter alone, it will have a massive impact, and you will immediately catch yourself with the language that you use. The other big chapter that I want to recommend, and there are multiple valuable ones in here, but the other one is The Power of Non-Resistance. Now again, this gets maybe a little bit deep. For some people it's a little bit woo-woo, for some people it's a little bit spiritual, and it's not something that I would have immediately picked up if I was talking to myself 5 years ago. But today, I find that really, really valuable in the idea of non-resistance. And what I mean by that is, if things are coming up in life, if things are coming up in business, if things are coming up for me personally, it's not a case of I need to fight against it and I need to argue with it and I need to contradict it and I just need to, put all my energy and effort and such into making sure that that thing that I feel or perceive that I don't want to happen actually doesn't happen. Instead, it's focusing on just looking at, these are the things that are coming up in life right now, and how do I adapt to that situation? That doesn't mean that in any way I would suggest you just accept them, or you just fold over and capitulate in what you want to achieve and what you want to do because things get a little bit tough. It's not that at all. But it's just being aware and looking at, this has just come up. That's interesting, or I hadn't expected that. How do I now handle the situation? How do I now deal with it? as this has come up. You can probably tell just from listening to me that it's totally reframed how I approach life, how I approach problems, how I approach challenges that go on, personal and in business, and I think it will have massive value for you should you choose to read this. And why not, right? It's tiny, it's really short, same as the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. You could pick that up and put it down anytime. This is short, it's tiny, it's very easy to digest. Go ahead and get yourself a copy of The Game of Life right now. Okay, cool, right. Pretty much every single client, every single person that I've spoken with, that I work with closely in the past 6, 9, 12 months or so, I have said, go and read this book. There are certain books and certain things in life and certain areas of life where it just doesn't make sense for me to try and reinvent the wheel even further. And this particular book on offers, $100 million offers, as Alex Hormozy has named it, is just absolutely fantastic in that sense. This led me on then to finding him on YouTube, finding him on his podcast and such, and I would say I'd probably spend about an hour a day or so consuming his content right now. Is it the be all and end all? Is there only one person we should follow? Absolutely not, of course, but I do still find that I get great value from this. Now, in terms of this book itself, if you are building an online business, if you are growing an online business, if you want to know ultimately the first step in creating a successful and profitable online business, it does come down to the offer. I believe that fully more than anything else. There are other elements. We need to generate traffic, we need leads, we need to know how to sell, we need to know how to convert and how to deliver our products and services as well, the fulfillment. But the first step is always going to be with the quality of your offer. And so I want to share a couple of things from this. I've folded over some pages which are major takeaways. I want to share 3 of these things for you. The first thing that I absolutely love in this, you can see I've made notes on here, is the idea of niching down very clearly. Now on page, where are we? Page 40, he talks about time management products. How you can create a time management product and significantly charge more for it. A time management product generally versus a time management product which might be made specifically and committed to your audience directly. Okay, as an example, if I was creating a time management product for Instagram entrepreneurs, busy Instagram entrepreneurs that actually want to be able to get everything done in less than an hour, that would be far more valuable than just saying, here is a time management book. The second thing that I absolutely love in this book, and this is certainly one that I share with people a lot, is his delivery cube, which ultimately comes down to when you are delivering on your product or your service or your offer, how do you do that? How do you share that with the client, and how are you actually going to go about delivering that? Is it a pre-recorded course? Is it one-to-one? Is it group? Is it a done for you? Is it a done with you? Is it education based and the clients do it themselves? And it talks you through all those different elements of the support, how you go about delivering it, and how it's recommended that you do that as well. And then the third element, I think this is great, is called enhancing your offer, and it's all about the bonuses. This graphic alone, I'm going to hold that right up, hopefully you can see that, but that graphic alone, I think, is the perfect explanation of how to use bonuses in your offer. The way that I always describe it with our clients is that your core product, your core offer, your core service, whatever that might be, is the thing that gets people from A to B. If you show people or teach people how to lose weight, then it is your main program that helps people from where they are now to where they want to get to in terms of losing weight. The bonuses are the things that can speed that up and save people time or money. So it might be specific cheat sheets, it might be meal plans, it might be meditation or subconscious things that people can listen to. It might be getting direct contact access to you where you can keep them on track and hold them accountable. It might be a success buddy, all these types of things. But the core product is what gets them from A to B. The bonuses are things that make that journey from A to B more palatable, faster, easier to achieve, smoother, etc., etc., etc. So $100 million offers, highly recommended if you are in the online space, if you're moving online with your business, or if you're not satisfied with the results that you're getting right now. I highly recommend this book. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, cool, there you go. So these are my 3 top recommended books. I've read these in the past 6 months. They have all had a massive impact on me, either in life or in business. The first one is this one. It is the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Highly recommended, easy to read, easy to pick up, and overall probably the best book I've read in the last 6 months. The second one is this one. It is The Game of Life. This is probably more around personal growth, personal development. Don't be put off by maybe slight slant towards religion and such. It's not my bag personally, but if you can see past that, especially if you're not religious, then it will massively, massively impact you. There's a strong spiritual side, which I do highly recommend, and I think you'll get great value from. And then the third one is this. It's $100 million offers. Any business owner, any entrepreneur, especially if you're building online, you will get massive value from this. Far and away the book that I recommend to most people from a business perspective when I'm working with our clients, and now I'm excited to be able to recommend it to you too. If you've enjoyed this video, please do click on this video up here, which talks about the 3 business books that I recommend. If you watched this so far, I know that you'll get some value from that, so please do go check out that video. We're brand new to this channel, and so please do like, please do subscribe, and I would love if you just tell me in the comments the #1 thing that you found valuable from this video. Thank you so much, I greatly appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. All the best, bye for now.